when you start promoting and selling your merchant's products, you're going to want to know, well, how well am I doing? So that's what I'm going to cover in this video tutorial. Let me walk you through the general stats section, and that's where I am right now. We've got general stats right here, and I got there by hovering over this little arrow under general stats. But before I go there, I also want to bring your attention to this area up here. So let's start in the top left-hand corner. Notice that we've got total transactions as 2. So that is a historical record of all of these successful transactions I've made. Below that, we've got standard earnings. That's how much I've made. And then below that is tier earnings. More than for many of you, tier earnings will not come into play. You'll be operating on some sort of what I'll call a regular affiliate system, where you're just getting paid on what you promote and sell. A tier system would be something a little bit more advanced, where you could also get paid if you brought someone else into the program. So let's just sort of skip over the tier part of it. It's not going to come into play in this demonstration. And then the recurring earnings, that would be if your merchant was selling some sort of, let's say, a membership program or something that where the sale was not just a one-time or one-off sale. It was something where they paid every single month. And then you can look at total earned to date. It's fairly self-explanatory, but let's jump down into this section down here, and I want to go over some of these details because some of them are not quite as obvious. So let's jump in. First, we've got transactions 1. Now what you need to know about this is that these are approved transactions. So you may have already made a sale and it may not be reflected in this area. And the reason being is that your merchant has 2 settings. They can either set their transactions to be automatically approved, so as soon as someone makes a purchase, the system just assumes that it's a good transaction, or your merchant can set up their system where transactions occur, they're recorded, but they don't show up here until the merchant comes along and approves it. So under this system, as I'll show you in a second, this reflects manually approved transactions. So the important thing to understand is that if your transactions show as 0, but you know that someone's made a purchase, you might send an email to your merchant, but at the same time, please understand that these are approved transactions. Your merchant may not have approved some transactions that are credited to you, but I'll show you how to find those. Standard earnings, this is a percentage of this number, and if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that under payout type, it shows you how much you're going to earn for a transaction. Currently, that's 10% for each sale in this demonstration. So this right here is a percentage of this. So it has nothing to do with the total transactions, it has to do with the current transactions. And again, you might have transactions that have been recorded that are going to be credited to you, but your merchant just hasn't approved them yet. It just depends on their settings in the merchants panel. Tier earnings, again, we're going to skip over this for this demonstration. And recurring earnings don't come into play here because in this demonstration, this is a one-time transaction. It's not a recurring membership type of product. So current earnings is the same as standard earnings because you've got one transaction, and that's how much in earnings you've generated. Okay, let's jump down to traffic statistics. What is the difference between visitors and unique visitors? Currently we've got 12 visitors and 5 unique visitors. The difference is that, let's pretend that I'm someone who came to your website and clicked on your affiliate link, and I went to your merchant's website. And that's fantastic. That's what you want to have happen. When I click that link for the first time, I'm going to increase both the number of visitors and the number of unique visitors that first time that I click. But let's say that I come back to your website the next day and I click the same link. Well, the system is smart enough to know that I'm the same person that came back last time, so it's not going to increase the unique visitors. It's going to stay the same. But it will increase the number of visitors. So this number would go up every single time that I click the link, which doesn't really matter all that much. It's just more information. So you can see how many times unique visitors are clicking through the same affiliate link that you have and reaching that merchant's website. Total sales. Total sales currently is 2, and the sales ratio is a percentage of these sales versus overall visitors, not unique visitors. Now what I like to do personally is I like to go beyond the sales ratio. And by the way, I want to pause and show you that this sales ratio of 16.667% is abnormally high because I've just added these in just by playing around with some of the links. So I created these stats for this demonstration. A 16% sales ratio is incredibly high, extremely unusual, so do not compare this versus yours, because yours is probably going to be down around 1%. It may even be lower, and that doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. You can't bank a sales ratio. You can bank commission checks. So don't, the sales ratio means nothing as far as this demonstration. The 16.667 is not something that is probably realistic over any period of time. Okay. So what I like to do is go beyond the sales ratio, and I like to take the total sales and divide this by the unique visitors as well. So in this demonstration, if I took 2 total sales and divided that by 5, something didn't work there, 2 divided by 5, and that would be 0.4. So that is a 40%, so you can multiply that times 100 if you want to get the percent, times 100, so 40%. That would be a 40% sales ratio for unique visitors, which again is astronomically high. It's completely unrealistic, but still the math, that's the math that I like to do. I like to figure out how many of my unique visitors coming over are making a purchase. Because more often than not, not always, but more often than not, there's a fixed cost to get someone to click on my link. It's not always true to, just because they click the same link several times on my website doesn't mean that my costs have gone up. So as a percentage of my cost or my success ratio, it's also a percentage of how persuasive I am. Really, there's 2 factors in making a sale here and being a successful affiliate, and that is the math, which we're going over now, and the psychology, which is covered in additional affiliate videos. So I like to use the sales ratio of sales to unique visitors to figure out how good of a job I'm doing as far as selling my merchants' products and services. And if that number is trending up, then I'm improving that that conversion, that persuasion process. If the numbers flatline or going down, then obviously I have some work to do. So that, in a nutshell, is a quick overview of the general stats section.